everyone, and on the Dr. Emma Craythorne channel this is take 1, but actually I've come over from the Klira World channel where this is take 501, it seems like. So I do these community check-ins on my my Klira World channel, and on Klira World is where we talk about our prescriptive skincare, and it's so nice to see so many of you joining, and I'm absolutely delighted for that. I'm going to go live. And she does all of the styling and the wonderful, oh, well, Jane, thank you. And Giovanni, can you hear me? Yay!
It must have been all down to the account, and I just don't understand why.
Oh, I do not understand why. Anyway, so for everybody, we're here to talk about skin and makeup, but actually it almost is about to be a technical discussion on Meta not letting us actually connect. But here we are. So first of all, since I'm on my Dr. Emma Craythorne account, I'm getting messages here to say that we can hear both of us. So that's wonderful. So I'm just going to brief everybody. So on Dr. Emma Craythorne, I also have another account, which is Klira World, where I do my luxury prescriptive skincare services, where we see our patients and optimize their skin routine and deliver beautiful, fresh, and formulas to their home. And on that channel we do community check-ins with different skin sizes, and skin size 8 is the community check-in today, and that's why I'm so delighted that we have Victoria Penrose here to share her experience with using Klira, because obviously skin is a massive part of your entire existence really, but also I want to get some of her experience of makeup and skin tips that she has. So this is a kind of really exchange of knowledge, so thank you for joining me.
Well, I hope I've got something relevant or interesting to add to your knowledge. I'm not sure whether I do, but we can have a crack at it.
You definitely do. So you're a skin size 8. Tell us a little bit about what your skin is like, how you've experienced your skin over your life, Victoria.
I think my skin has probably been one of the best parts about me. There are many things I've moaned about with how I look, but my skin has luckily never been one. I never suffered with acne or skin problems. I've always been incredibly lucky. It's always been quite normal skin, if not quite white and pale and very see-through. I feel like you can always see sort of everything that's going on in my skin instantly, and I don't tan or let any sun get to my skin. But what I've now noticed as I'm getting older is these bumps that seem to appear all over my skin. I'm not sure how well you can see, but I think you might be able to get some kind of shadowing there.
Yes, a little tiny bit of shadowing you can see just on the edge of it.
Yeah. And they're all over my forehead. They're most predominant on the sides here. I've got them down the sides of my nose. I also have some like little sun damage and lots of broken capillaries around my nose. And, if you're going to complain, they're tiny things to complain about. And I understand I'm very, very lucky, but this is the skin journey I'm on. It's because of these bumps and just general discoloration. It's almost like I want to lift a layer of my skin away and start again. That really is my only complaint. It can be a bit parched. It's very thirsty. Over the years, I've been told the bumps have been caused by wearing very heavy products, oils and balms, which I love and I feel really comfortable in. But they could have got trapped under the skin and caused some build-up. Different people have said different things. Lots of people I've seen have said they're not there, and I'm making it up, and I know my skin.
You're like, well, I can see they're there. So
yeah, or I think they were probably being kind and saying, hey, it's like not that visible, it's not a big deal, don't worry about it. And I'm not, of all the things I've got to worry about in my life, they're not a massive worry, but they would be lovely if, and I actually cut a fringe in, and it sort of comes down here because they really do catch the light. So it probably is something I'm a little bit like I would like to change about myself.
I know you've cut a fringing because I'm jealous of your fringe, of how good your fringe is. I actually had a fringe cut just a few weeks ago so that I could get it, but it got caught in the rain. So I was like, I want my fringe like the fringe that you do on your videos, Victoria.
Yeah. And you've got a curl, like slight wave in your hair.
Yeah. So when it gets wet, it's really hard. We're kind of, it's kind of a little bit stuffed. Anyway, back to the skin. So you started Klira how long ago now?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think about this, and I know there was a little break where I had to go abroad with work. But that would only been like a week or so, and I couldn't take it with me. So I would say nearly 8 weeks consecutively, and I'm on to my second. I'm going into my second postage bottle now.
Good. So you're just about to start experience. Oh, look, isn't it so
Yeah.
lovely?
I know, and I'm so glad it matches my aesthetic. I was thinking, oh, I really hope I'm not the green one. I'm so glad I'm the purple one.
Nothing wrong with the green one.
No, I know, but it's just
Yeah.
there's a thing. Right, and look, I even my jewellery even we've got like the little.
It really does. It looks like a little jewel in your hands.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to use as well. It feels like a lovely luxury thing that I would was, and then the fact it's got my initials on it and it's specifically for me is, I don't know, I absolutely love it. I think it feels really classy.
And so when it came through the post, it comes in the two parts. So it comes with the little infill, which we have. This is not the purple one.
No.
So yeah, so this is the cartridge that contains all of the product. And then you're able to screw it in at the top.
Yeah.
And then you just swap it over every single month. And that screwing is so that this actually then becomes like it's an airless container. So it's just with essentially the pressure that pushes the cream up. So it's entirely, it's dosed so that we know how much is coming out, but also because there's no air in it, it really tries to reduce any oxidation or any breakdown of the products. I mean, you must see that quite a lot in makeup products whenever it's not so fresh and it's been around for a while. Do you get that with?
The thing is, for me, I go through products really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So yes, that definitely is a thing. It's more so a thing with cream, liquid concealers, and liquid foundations. And obviously, if you're using actives, but I'm not using that many actual actives on people's skins.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I've probably just met them, and two, because they might not work well with the makeup quickly going on top. I need like a real fast turnaround. And so things that oxidize or more have a problem with being opened would be more nighttime type products, whereas I'm more of the sort of daytime. Although I suppose I would use vitamin C, but like I say, I just honestly can go through a bottle easily a week on people. But I am very aware of things like, so quite often I deep hot my foundations into little tubs, just because carrying very thick, heavy glass bottles of different brands in many different colours around is excruciating, as well as all my hair and the rest of my makeup kit. And I do notice with those, I've got to put them in a very small transfer. So I only have a little bit else if it's you transfer it is out of the every skincare product and a skin wear product or hair care, they're made in those bottles and in that plastic or in that glass with that lid specifically to work with that product, that brand. So me messing around with it or other makeup artists messing around, but we are aware that we shouldn't do that. So we do just tiny amounts so we can use it up and then refill it again and clean the bottle in between and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because that's exactly the same even with skincare products as well. So whenever we're putting obviously we're using either medicines or active ingredients, but as soon as it's really in and it's mixed together, then it starts to lose its potency. So what we really don't want to do is be giving somebody this lovely formulation that we know as it leaves our lab that's got the right potency to it, that then it's being oxidized, it's not being used up enough. So, okay, you get enough for a month and then you must use it and then you get the next lot.
Yeah. I've got some very basic questions about klira and about my usage.
Yes.
That are probably like dummy questions, but in case anyone is on here or watching because of my Instagram and don't know about you guys, I thought they might be. I thought I'd also just use this as a chance to ask some questions, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fire away.
So because I put always have historically put a lot of skincare on, lots of layers and lots of thickness, lots of different products. And now I'm trying to pare back because I've just got klira. I feel like I don't know how much I should be putting on my skin. Like I feel like I'm maybe wanting to put more, but trying to hold back because I know I've got a retinoid in there and I know it's got a lot of medicines in there. What would you say about that? Do we tailor it a bit for the per person?
Yes. So the skin routine that you get sent, so when you do your skin size and it comes up with whatever skin size you are, so this is for the people who don't understand about klira, whatever skin size you happen to come up and be, then based on that skin size, then your little formulation is created, and within that formulation the 2 pumps are enough that does you for each day, or well, you put it on at night time, so each night. Whenever you get a recommended routine as well, that recommended routine is also specific for your skin size. So what's recommended to you will be different to a skin size 3 or a skin size 1. You have your own routine. And we did that because people really wanted to know, okay, well, what should I wash my face with? What should I moisturize my skin with? Which SPF should I use? And specifically things like SPFs are so tricky. So, somebody who's a skin size 1 will not like to use the same SPF that somebody who's a skin size 8 will do. And it's just a really great way of being able to go, okay, you're a skin size 1. Well, you will like this, 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 and this. Or you're a skin size 8. Well, you will like this, 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 to save people having to do trial and error to find the right skin, the right SPF for them. It just gets them to it. We know all the other people in that community like it, and therefore it's most likely to work for you. So the routine that you get is really is kind of specific to your skin size. So we recommend, obviously, to cleanse your skin in the morning. To, if you're using a vitamin C serum, that goes on at that point. And then you put your moisturizer if you need it. Skin size 1s often don't need it. And then you put on your SPF. So that is just the morning routine. That is just what we're happy with. And then at night time, you will again wash your face and then put on your Klira Special. Now, the Klira Special has within it lots of emollients and occlusive agents and humectants. So it really should be enough, even for pretty dry skin, to not really need to have the extra thing put on it. It's not like a thick cold cream that some people really just enjoy the feeling of having on their skin. But there is actually the right ratio of those humectants and occlusive agents to make sure that the skin barrier is nourished overnight. But some people just really like the feeling of putting a moisturizer on top of it, and that's okay to do. So I just recommend that you put your Clear Special on, and if you want to do that extra layer off it, just leave it for 10 minutes, and then you can put it on over the top as well. I actually have fairly dry skin, but I don't use anything additional on top of mine. But some people, it's just ingrained within them that that's what they want to do, and that's absolutely fine as well. But it's just trying to pare it all back and just say, most people don't need to have this step and that step and this step and that step. It's still quite a lot of steps. It was quite funny. We did one of these community check-ins with this guy called Andy, the Skin Credible, and he's actually, I think, joined on here, which reminded me of him. And he said, the thing is, Emma, it's just too simple. So I feel like I need to do something else as well. I said, okay, do a cartwheel.
Do some squats before you go to bed.
Exactly. So,
it
but
does,
really,
yeah.
in
You've
terms
got
of
to,
the skin, that's what you need.
you need to sort of definitely train your mind, because I've been going from vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, a night moisturizer, a tretinoin, a retinoid. You're doing all these things after cleansing and washing off my makeup, and then doing half of those things again, but replacing with SPF in the morning. That you do feel slightly like, is this enough? Also, I think, like you say, this habit or historical way of applying lots of things on, it's very hard within, like I said, 6 to 8 weeks to go, that is the only thing on my skin. And because it does have this amazing, like, fresh tingly feeling, which kind of, and like, that you like, no, that to me is dryness, so I need to compensate by putting something very greasy over the top. It's not, it's just everything working. But again, it's the psychological side that, is it going to be enough, and am I going to get through the next 8 hours? Is my skin going to be parched? So it's training. But I know Klira is made for me, I know it's right for me, but I have been putting on a moisturizing cream afterwards, just so I can. I've been trying to pare it back there. I don't do that every night. I do it on the days that I feel very, very tingly, and I feel like I need a little bit of something else on top.
Yeah, so the tingle that comes with it is the tingle eventually with time goes, which is slightly disappointing because it's a bit like the tingle you get when you brush your teeth. You're like, this is lovely, the tingle. But eventually, annoyingly in a way, that goes. But the feeling of where it's almost a little bit, it feels a bit like your skin is, like tight. Yeah, exactly. It's actually quite nice to put it on if you're going out somewhere, because you do have that feeling of it, your skin being very fresh. but I don't recommend that. It's a before treatment thing, but a before bed treatment. But if you want to put your your moisturizer on afterwards, then I do know even a lot of people who are on here are joining that they do that. They do that as well. And what's your other
Yeah.
question?
Okay. So the other one was, I'm gonna have to think about it now. Oh, you've sort of answered it. Am I still safe? Listen, there's no problem if I wanted to layer with this vitamin C as well, but in theory, you just don't need to.
You don't need to. I mean, if you wanted to use a vitamin C, my take for vitamin C is you would use that in the morning rather than using it at night time.
Natural time.
And the real reason is that with vitamin C's, and the whole idea of using it really is so it's reducing that free radical damage, so as an antioxidant. And most of the oxidative stress that we get actually happens to be during the day, because we get an oxidative stress response inside just from breathing, eating, exercising, all of the things that we do, but also what we expose ourselves to, which is ultraviolet radiation and other forms of like visible light radiation and pollution, metals, our makeup, all even our SPF. All of these things can essentially cause this a little bit of free radical damage on the skin. So most of those things we're doing is actually in the daytime rather than at nighttime. So my normal take is actually, if you do want to use a vitamin C, it's much better to do that first thing in the morning, and then keep your retinoid and your prescriptions things, if that's what's in yours, for the evening, just so that they're slightly at separate parts of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And that's what I definitely feel like. To me, vitamin C and even my hyaluronic acid, they're like, to me, wake up things, like things to do to be like, okay, let's be fresh for the day. Whereas the Kira to me is more like the night time, let everything work overnight, just like your body works overnight, doesn't it? It digests everything, it heals, repairs. That's what I see the Kira as.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think especially with the little bumps that you've got, where they've come up. So part of what is in your prescription, your formula that you have, part of that is going to be helping to clear these areas that you have. Now, often the increasing your skin cell turnover is the first thing that happens. And initially, you'll start to see a bit of a thinning of what is the stratum corneum, that kind of like dead layer of the skin, and that becomes a bit thinner. And that is the layer as well that often will give rise, if it's thicker, to the little bumps kind of appearing. And it's also the layer that when it's made, especially as we get a bit older, that light doesn't reflect off it in the same way because it's kind of bumpier. So with the continued use of this treatment, what happens in the first instance, it becomes a bit thinner and smoother. So then when light hits off the face, I mean, you'll know better than anyone, but it's reflecting it almost straight back, and it becomes a very like smooth surface. So that's why it's almost glowy, because you see this light reflecting back. And so that's the first thing that will happen with it. And then it's actually not really for about another 4 or 5 months will you start to see a change in the kind of, the oil levels, and, that kind of, those changes. And remember, it's slightly the oil levels and the top surface that's contributing to the bumps. And you'll see that at about 4 months. And then it's not even until 9 months where you start to see that induction of the collagen being made. And it's funny, these befores and afters where they're like, oh, we've done this overnight. I was like, well, that's not possible. But it's around about 9 months when you start to see those changes. So where you would otherwise notice the little fine lines some people get in their foreheads or the sides of the eyes, that's whenever this kind of formula comes into its own for treating those areas.
Yeah, it's definitely a long process, and I've noticed in the past when I've used like a retinoid on its own that I've had from prescription, I feel like, oh great, like something's happening because my skin's peeling a lot quite quickly, and then to the point where it scared me a little bit, and I wanted to back down a bit to like not go. I was scared I was taking it too far. Whereas in theory, the thing with Clear is because it's prescribed specifically for me right now, my peeling isn't, I'm not really getting any of that. I'm getting a little bit around my nose and maybe here. I don't know whether that's just movement in the night or whatever. But I feel like you have to stop thinking that things are going to work straight away.
Yeah.
And that you just have to go with them. And so many people will buy a bottle of £80 serum or something and use it and just be like, oh, it didn't.
Yeah.
Or the things they think are working are things like an oil or a balm or something very luxury, very a cream that's got a lot of what's the term for it when you have like occlusive, like something.
Occlusive agent, yeah. So the emollients and the occlusives that
Yeah,
kind of like plump the
yeah,
skin immediately. They're like, oh, it's
but
amazing.
yeah, it's I've had facials in the past, and everyone's gone, "Oh my god, your skin looks amazing." I'm like, well, I know I've got literally tons and tons of oil on it. Like I could literally just rub something on myself now and look like I've got really glowing skin. So it has to come from within, doesn't it? And you have to take time to do that. Whereas I think a lot of the pictures and some photos you see around, when you see this, glass skin, I can literally have someone have glass skin in 5 minutes if I'm on a shoot with someone, because that's just putting products on top of it. So we've all got to step back from just thinking things should happen straight away. Also, another thing, I don't know whether you picked up on, apparently a lot of sort of teenage, maybe like 12 to 15 and onwards, well, maybe children who haven't got their own money to buy things, are asking their parents, especially at Christmas time and even Easter, for skincare. Skincare has become this huge thing that young people need to do, which is great in tons of it. Like I wish it included SPF 50 every day, but I'm a little bit worried about this amount of layers of serums that a 12, 13-year-old's putting on. That, I guess, what would your take be on that?
I mean, for me as well, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just so not necessary and actually so harmful in some cases. If somebody who's a teen or a tween, even really as young as that, and they have an issue with their skin, so they might be starting to get acne. Well, I mean, there are the right acne medicines that we typically use, and almost that you want to make sure that somebody has seen and started on the right acne medicines, rather than, these marketed things of using retinol or retinals that are actually really being aimed for older people who are trying to reduce their fine lines and wrinkles. They're not trying to get rid of acne, but yet teens are using these. So a lot of the marketing is like to children. I mean, you just have to look at the packaging to see that it's being marketed to children, but actually the products inside are at a price point for adults, and the products inside are at formulations that are really designed for adults. So for me, it's very confusing. I mean, I'm sure this bubble has to burst very soon. In clinic alone, I'll see people who are using these kind of skincares and coming in because they've got a perioral dermatitis, or they've inflamed their skin, or the kids never even had acne in the first place. They've had a rosacea, and then the rosacea's all flared up as a consequence. So it's really it really is problematic, and it's not healthy for these kids' skins at all. I think there is a movement now amongst these children, which is what they are, to move more towards the products now that are the SPFs, like you say, and finding simple moisturizers. So they'll, know what to wash their skin with, put on their moisturizer and put on their SPF. And I have two teenage daughters myself, so I can kind of see this trend probably starting to shift a little bit back to just being, okay, we're spending a lot of money on essentially ornaments that we like to look at, which is fine, but just don't put them on your face. And I think there is going to be starting to be this little bit of a kickback, just because there's so many of them coming in with the rashes just all around their face, this perioral dermatitis, or just simply an irritant dermatitis from using products that aren't designed for them. But it's just another example, isn't it, of just like buy it quickly, put it on, just it's a way to fit in with the others. And I do think it's shifting, but it's really been a problem, I'd say, the last year. Yeah.
What I also get a lot as a makeup artist, or people ask me about skincare. So how do you get this to look like this, or why doesn't mine look like yours, or this, or hers, or whatever? And then you'll say, like, do you drink water? No.
Yeah.
Smoke? Yeah. Do you use SPF? No, only when it's sunny. It's like
Yeah.
if the basic things aren't being done, then a bottle of £50
Yeah.
serum is absolutely not going to do anything for you, unless you are moving into the actual proper medicines, prescribed actives. But up the water uptake, there's so many things that can help or cause detriment to your skin, but no one wants to do that side of things. They just want this sort of like quick fix.
I think that's exactly exactly right. Because one of the questions I get asked all the time is, what should I be doing to keep my skin looking as young as possible for as long as possible? Or what do you do to your skin to make your skin, be the way that it looks? And it really is absolutely just as simple as what you said. It is looking after your entire organism as a whole. It is the exercise, it is the sleep, it is the diet, it is the water. These are the basics to keep our entire organism healthy. And then to keep our skin organ healthy, when we often think about it being in our face, it is the very, very basic things of protecting it from damage. So you're using your vitamin C, that protects it from damage. Using your SPF, both for UVA and UVB, that protects it from damage. Using a moisturizer to keep all of the water in, stop irritants getting in, that will protect it from damage. And then when you've had damage that's already happened, using, for example, your Bespoke Klira special, because it will have the right things in it for you. Everybody is different, but then that will repair the damage. And it's not about just doing it once or twice. It literally is every single day. And obviously you can do the odd day of not remembering to do something, as we all do, but the consistent trend has to be that you're doing these things every day to make that difference, really. And whenever you see somebody, for example, I'm going to ask you a question if that's okay. Whenever you see somebody and they are, to go back to the point of, you get the odd little bit of a retinoid dermatitis, what are your makeup tricks for that?
It is really hard because uh, unlike maybe an editorial makeup artist who's shooting in a studio where the model or whoever it is going to be still, they can run in and do touch-ups, they can control the light and the weather and everything. I'm often out on location or in a TV studio. It's all recorded as live. It's very fast, it's very busy. We don't get given enough time to do the hair and makeup in the first place, and probably not in a situation where you can actually sit someone down and take time. So we have to do quite a lot
So
of like quick covers.
Everyone's life.
Yeah. Yeah, just throw it on and hope for the best. So if I do see that situation, I'm always like, okay, so how can I first patch that in before we even talk about color or like changing the appearance of the skin? It would normally be something like a treatment balm or a soothing balm, or even like, I mean, I get through tons of this. I don't know whether I should put brands or whatever.
I mean, fine. Yeah, it's my channel. Do whatever you like.
This is a nappy care, bepanthen.
Yeah.
Just anything that you'll see. I've got another one. I'm never going to find it now in the rush. Here we go. This is Calendula Marshmallow Balm by Lion's Leaf. Just anything that's quite a natural, but like a greasy sort of.
Super greasy. Yeah.
A bit greasy. And basically, if I buff that into the area that is showing a lot of dryness, I can not only maybe take a little bit of the dryness away, but I can then sort of patch with that, make it very, very greasy, let that set while I do everything else, and then layer on a foundation. Okay. And then, or a creamy concealer. The key is that all the products going on have to be very dewy and moisturized, kind of counteract that dryness. My problem is I'm then in the studio.
Yeah.
Where I can't have any shine. So you see your face and you see how healthy your face looks. It's literally glowing, but you've got reflection of light
everywhere.
Yeah. Which is what I want my client's skin to look like, what I want my presenter's skin to look like.
But not in the studio.
I can't, because it just looks like sweat and grease. It looks disgusting. So I do all of that, and then I have to press it with I sort of roll. I'll have like a beauty blender or a soft pad, and there's no brushes involved because it will just flick. I have to roll and almost like press it in. Do you remember? I always want to call it Murder, She Wrote, and it's not. It's a film with Goldie Hawn and
becomes her.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. Placing bits of skin back on, no problem. Also, while kind of trying to talk to them to distract them from what I'm actually doing, and how are the kids? And then with this inner panic, thinking, oh my God, I've got 4 minutes and this is crazy. And thinking, oh, I need to go to the loo, and I haven't ate or drank anything for 7 hours. And, so that's what I do. I'm a big, those areas have to be hydrated.
Yeah. Because that is one of the things that some people experience whenever they first start on their Klira special, and it depends where you are on the scale. So those more Kind of oilier patients, they don't really tend to get it quite so much. But if you're slightly in the dry spectrum, and if you're kind of moving more towards the dryness, then they're the people who obviously have the extra moisturizers when they've got their Klira Special to try and reduce it. But when you're getting up to the strong strength, inevitably, you know, if you're skiing or if you're doing lots of swimming and things like that, that's whenever this area particularly, it can start to get a little bit irritated. And actually, one of the original studies that were done on these products and actives was in the late 80s, early 90s. And they said, you know, unless you're getting these little dry patches from time to time, you need to go stronger.
Right.
So
punch that in.
yeah, so if it's all so perfect all the time, you can be going in a stronger treatment. So, and that's kind of part of the thing with Klira, is that because it's this check-in all of the time to say, okay, how are you getting on? You know, and you can say, okay, it's all easy, easy, so you can move up. But the second
Yeah.
anything starts to be too much, then and we say, okay, that's fine. We can either step back, and there is this constant check. And I don't know if you've had to check in with the team at all yet, have you?
But I've had nothing to report. The only thing I would probably say is that I think I probably could go harder.
Yeah.
I think I could up it. And also just that, like you said, that balance between wanting to feel that very rich, moisturized feeling, which I know is psychological, and just kind of want to check in with you guys that can I keep doing that, and will that have any effect on my Klira products?
It won't, and you can just keep doing it. It's already on. If you leave it for about 5-10 minutes, it's already
Yeah.
on, already in. Now, one amazing thing you'll find, again, it takes time. So, I mean, I'm talking like a year almost of use, like 9 months, a year of use. But part of what's in your product, your retinoid, it stimulates the fibroblasts. And what the fibroblasts do is obviously make collagen. But the second thing that the fibroblasts can make is hyaluronic acid. So you're actually making more of your own hyaluronic acid.
Yeah.
So you're almost getting this like more bounciness, I suppose, and support of the skin in that dermal layer, as well as the collagen that we know like changes, you know, at around about 7, 8, 9 months. So that's why then your skin actually naturally will start to feel a little bit more moisturized and that more
And I'll
kind of
probably be able to
bouncy
come
feeling.
back a little bit with maybe needing that feeling of having to put on another rich
Correct.
cream over the top and it'll balance out. What do you think we need to say to people to convince them to use Factor 50 even in the winter?
So
Like, how can I make my campaign come across to everyone who knows me?
okay, so
I carry a little flag.
I'll just tell you. So part of my job is in for the British Association of Dermatologists is sitting on the sun awareness, so that people really understand the damaging impact that the sun has on the body, on the skin. And so I say to my patients this: I say that the UV radiation comes in two forms. It comes in ultraviolet A and ultraviolet B, and both of these things are a problem for our skin. Now, ultraviolet B is the one that comes down onto the skin. It doesn't penetrate that deeply, but it immediately is the one that will cause burning. And it's the one that will interact with the DNA in the cells and cause these signature mutations. And enough signature mutations, and then you will go on and cause changes in moles that you might already have or in normal melanocytes, and can then go on to develop skin cancers. So for ultraviolet B, doesn't penetrate deeply, but when it penetrates, it causes more of the cancerous types of changes. So whenever we think about trying to protect against ultraviolet B in the UK, that is between the middle of March and the middle of October. And it really also happens in just the middle of the day, so 11 until 3. So those UVB rays are highest at those times. And that's when you really want to protect yourself if you're concerned about your skin cancers. If, however, you're concerned about your skin aging, then the UVA rays are the ones to worry about. And the UVA penetrates deep. It penetrates much deeper into the skin. It is the thing that damages the collagen immediately. It is the thing that tells your enzymes to break down more collagen. It tells the blood vessels to become a bit baggier. It tells the pigment cells to make the pigment, and sometimes, you know, is responsible for things like melasma and the sunspots that you get. That is all from UVA. UVA will come through the window that you're sat beside. It will come through your car window. It will come through the clouds. It will come through the clouds on a rainy day in the middle of winter. And it is there from the moment the day begins until the moment the day ends. So as soon as it is light at the beginning until the light goes is when UVA is there. And UVA is there all year round. So if you're wanting to just protect against skin cancer, then you don't need to put your SPF on every day. That's fine. But if you want to allow your skin to age as well as it can, then you need to protect in that time. So then I just say, the choice is up to you.
Yeah.
So you can decide, but if you want to do it, then that's how you have to do it. In terms of using it, I recommend you put it on first thing in the morning. If it's the winter and you're inside, it doesn't really get broken down that much, so you probably wouldn't even need to top it up and again during the day unless you're outside a lot. But we're now coming into the early spring, and in early spring, you really want to be using your SPF with a top up if you're going back outside again in the late afternoon to make sure you're protected. And, even all the way up to 8 or 9 o'clock, if you're out having a walk in the park or sitting outside having dinner, if the light's on you, then that is UV radiation. So it is all like, it even comes through your clothes. So you're not protected just from wearing normal
Fine, I'm
clothes.
mainly naked, so I'm not too
Highly
worried.
recommend it.
Along the South Bank, just trying to get myself arrested.
So you could give
Anything
them
for
that
attention.
fact. And then there's another fact as well that's a shorter fact, is that if you use your SPF every day consistently for 3 years, compared to somebody who doesn't use their SPF consistently for 3 years, the skin is 23% younger in the person who's used their SPF just from simply putting on an SPF.
Yeah.
So that is why, if you're interested in better aging of the skin, pigmentation, then you want to use your SPF. And, it's a no-brainer. If you've already got the damage, then you want to use your Klira Special at nighttime and your SPF in the morning. And that is literally the two jewels that there are. But you need your moisturizer that supports it, vitamin C if you're using that in the morning, and the right cleanser. So that would be that can be your campaign.
I mean, it's something I so strongly believe in, and I give the same advice to everyone. And it seems to very rarely be taken on.
Yeah.
People seem to much more want to go into a supermarket and just fill up their trolley with different potions.
Yeah.
It seems to be the last. I'm not. You could use your kids. Use the kids one. Don't even. It's just as long as it's 50. I don't care. I've got a friend who's a cosmetic scientist, and he is my font of all knowledge. I absolutely love talking to him about all of this, because what I was finding hard was the reapplying throughout the day when I've got my makeup on. And I'm not the best at that, to be completely honest. So I was using this SPF in a powder, and he was like, you would have to have the powder this thick on your skin to have any kind of payback from that. So I have seen recently ones that you can just mist over.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think they're probably as strong as the SPF 50 I'm putting on in the morning before my makeup, but it might help. Hats, sunglasses, all of those things I try and do. But what I really don't agree with is when you see sort of SPF 10 in a foundation. Although I'm sure it won't hurt to have all these layers of different BB creams for 20, and my moisturizer's got 10 and my foundation's got 10, I'm sure. But surely there's just nothing better just than a cheap old.
Yeah. You need a good layer of proper SPF in the morning, because even these other additional things that you might put in. So say you put on your SPF that it's a tinted moisturizer, and it says, oh, this is an SPF 20, and that doesn't let you know how much of the UVA protection that you're getting. Yes, it lets you know that it's an SPF 20 against UVB, but it doesn't necessarily have filters in protect you against the UVA.
Yeah,
so it's
which is the aging one.
which is the aging one, and is actually the ones that often that we really like.
Yeah.
So and that's the one that we're after in the first place. So it's so important then to have that really good layer first thing. And if you have a bonus that you happen to have all of these additional things on as well, well then great. But really a good layer of a really good SPF first thing in the morning is key. I love the La Roche-Posay UV Immune range, because they go all the way up to 400 nanometers. That's the one.
This is the
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
I just checked it because it is UVA specifically down here, and
yes.
this is my
That's
holy
your
grail.
go-to, and that is the right one. And for a skin size 8, so somebody who's slightly prone to bits of pigmentation, then this would be a great one to go to, because it's all the way up in that pigment area. So this 380 to 400 nanometers, which other SPFs just don't have it in. So this is a great one, and they come in lots of different forms. So I would put properly that as a base on in the morning. And what I mean by properly is 2 fingers worth. That would cover your face, so along here.
Yeah.
And then topping it up during the day from La Roche-Posay, they also do a spray, and that spray,
The two
yeah,
of those.
it's 2 of those exactly.
Like the
They
hand.
do a spray, the same one. I know, don't forget the hands.
I always rub it on the backs of my hands because I don't want to end up like Dolly Parton having to wear gloves everywhere. Be a pain in the arse.
Well, we might have an answer for that soon.
Oh,
And I see a few people who have joined who are part of our trial there, so that's
no.
exciting. But yeah, so I would say that to top up the La Roche-Posay, they do this spray, which is good, and it's not one that you have to put on as thickly as the powder one would have to be. It's tested to be at a thinner layer, so it's good for a top up. The spray is really good as well for men with bald heads, so that you can do that. Or if you've got thinning hair yourself and you want to, use it on the parting, it's great for that. Obviously, a hat is
Always get
better,
brown on my head.
but yeah,
Always.
yeah. So hats are better, but sometimes you don't have the hat on all the time. So
Yeah. And
anyway, I
also,
can't believe we've chatted for an hour. I've just looked at the time.
sorry, I could go all night. I've got
I
so much I could
know.
talk about.
There is so much we can talk about. We should definitely do this again, and this time we'll do it the first time we say. So for those of you who didn't know, Victoria couldn't do the first one, then I couldn't do the second one, and then Instagram couldn't do the third one.
Third time's the charm.
Exactly. So thank you everybody for joining us, and most importantly, Victoria, thank you for sharing the knowledge.
Welcome, and to you.
Yeah, and let's do this again.
Definitely. Okay. Night,
Bye.
everybody. I'm off to
Bye.
my drink. Bye.
Bye.